From the city lights to the country blue, Woody and Lou got the sports for you. From Boston streets to Kentucky's fields, get ready, folks, for the thrill it yields. Woody and Lou, sports and you, talking games, we love it's true. Every play, every score, let's dive in, it's time for more. Lacing up the boots and calling plays, debates and laughs for all the days. From Fenway Park to Derby Run, sports talk magic just begun. Woody Lou, sports and you, sideline stories coming through. Every cheer, heartbeat soar, tune in now, we'll give you more. Celtics screams to Wildcats roar, touchdowns, goals, and so much more. Grab a seat, enjoy the ride, Woody Lou right by your side.
The views expressed by the hosts are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Department of Defense, the U.S. government, or any of its agencies. The information provided is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. No attorney-client relationship is formed by providing this information, and nothing herein should be relied upon as legal counsel. For legal advice specific to your situation, please consult a qualified attorney. Braxton, episode 24. We are 10 minutes late, which is pretty on par for the theme and name of episode 24. Down bad, but definitely not out. So speaking of down bad, Braxton, I'm going to let you take this first segment and let you riff a bit on the tumultuous week you have had.
Yeah, I'll just start with the email I just got and I'm reading live on air. So we'll just skip to the present and we'll go back to the past.
Okay.
I was tasked. I drew a family member for Santa Claus, Secret Santa, and I bought something I was told by the women in my life was a fancy gift for this person.
Fancy gift.
And UPS said it'd be delivered today. I got an email last night saying, "Hey, it's gonna get delivered today." I get an email today says it'll be delivered between 12 and 4. And I got an email at 4 that said it'll be delivered between 5 and 7. Fun fact, Dan. Me and my wife and I, a combination of us, have been home between 5 and 7 p.m. tonight. And I just got an email from UPS saying, "Sorry we missed you, but a signature was required for this package delivery." No one rang my doorbell, Dan, to sign for this package. So now I got another email saying they'll try again tomorrow, and they estimate they'll deliver it by 7 p.m. And it has to be signed for. They didn't ring my doorbell, Daniel. And I paid a lot of money for this gift, and we're letting a signature. I understand the signature clause, but you didn't ring my doorbell. So now I question if you have my address. It says you have my address, right? This is UPS next day air we're talking, Dan.
Yes.
And we can't even ring the doorbell. That's just par for the course for me. So dating back this time last week, this is the day before Thanksgiving, because today's Wednesday, and we had the unit turkey bowl. Now, what's unique about the unit I'm in, they don't play flag football because they don't think flag football is inclusive enough for the masses. They think flag football is it discriminates against the larger population of people participating. So they've created a game.
How? Can you get into that?
I guess just the average American doesn't know how to participate in flag/ultimate football. I guess that's just a bridge too far.
Okay.
So their answer for making it more open is they created a game where your goals are 2 trash cans that are cordoned off by a 5-meter wide circle all the way across of cones. It's like a 50-gallon trash can on each side, and it's soccer. It's a soccer ball. You kick it between your teammates, but if you kick it up in the air, so say I kick the ball in the air to you and you catch it, now it turns into ultimate soccer where you can throw it.
Yeah.
Once it touches the ground, it goes back.
They call that gator ball. I'm familiar.
Stupid game. So we're playing that. We took a quick 2-0 deficit. I knew things were too serious when at one point there's a ball rolling out of bounds, and I kind of nonchalantly was going to get the ball out of bounds, and a person who was probably 6'3", 290 just ran me over like a hit stick. Like I was a defenseless wide receiver and he was a DB in the middle of the field. And I laughed that off. That probably should have been a sign. Fast forward 10 minutes. I was on defense, I suppose, and there was a ball thrown in the air, and I had some open field. I went for a jump ball situation to deflect this, a pass breakup, PBU. And I got fingertips on it, and when I fell on the ground, my whole knee went 20 different directions, and it sounded like you cracked my back. There was a referee about 5 to 10 yards from me. He said, "Oh, I heard all of those." As I laid there on the ground, the first comment was, "You got to get off the field."
You gotta get off. Who said that? The ref?
Just one of the people. I immediately had a circle around me, and I said, "Yes, that sounds like a good idea. I can't walk. My right leg is immobilized." So they cart me off.
Yeah, what was your safety plan? What did you have for
So they
egress?
cart me off, and a medic comes running and says, "We definitely didn't have a medic coverage plan, but I'm a medic, so I can handle this." I said, "That's good." And he said, "You touched my toes." He made me turn around. He's like, feeling my toes. I had to tell him what toe he was touching. And I had one of my bosses came by and said, "Hey, Braxton, can I get you anything?" And like I was in pain, so like my pain
where
response.
were you when people were coming up to you, just like
I'm like
on the
I'm over there by,
sideline rolling around?
And one of my bosses comes by and he's like, "Braxton, are you okay? Can I get you anything?" Like I was about to throw up. It's like my pain reaction when I was getting real pain. It's like, and I was like, "Sir, I really need a water." He said, "Okay." He goes off. I look up like a minute later. He's back to reffing the game, and I still haven't seen this water. And my other boss came up and said, "I don't really know what to say, but I hope this works out."
I actually kind of appreciate that bluntness. I don't know if you did, but it wasn't sugarcoating it.
I said, "Yep." They said, "We're gonna give you a shot." They gave me a shot in the arm.
A shot
it
of
all
what?
became Toradol or Tramadol or
In your
something.
arm, but I thought your knee went 20 million directions.
I don't know. It did in my left arm. He asked if I preferred an arm, which I thought was funny considering like my leg was in shambles. If we're like, I'm not worried about my left or right arm at this point.
Where on Sparta was this? I need like a little bit of like geographic context.
It happened on 9th Engineers Field by like in between their COFs and their battalion headquarters.
That can't be well maintained. I've been over there.
No, and I was carted off to the grass closest to the COFs.
Yep.
I'm a man of faith, and I think everything happens for a reason. But there were warning signs. And for example, as I'm lacing up my football cleats that are 15 years old from high school, I think I made the statement, these things will probably explode at some point during this. So I had that. When the guy hit sticked me like we were in arena football, that probably should have been a sign for me just to go ahead and sub out because this is too serious for me. There were signs.
Yeah.
But there are some pros. So before I get carted off, Kaylee didn't see it happen, and one of the other wives went to her. And what I was told was the wife told Kaylee, "Hey, Braxton jumped up really high and landed wrong. So I just want to make sure the H word is highlighted in that. I jumped very high. I think very, very high is what it was said, not
Very
just
high. Okay. That's, you got a good vertical.
Yeah. And, so anyway, Kaylee has to wrangle up all 3 kids. She's like trying to buy a breakfast burrito for Elliot. Get them all carted up, go to the ER. They wheelchair me. So here's the second sign. My daughter has these brain. I don't know if I've told this story on here. I know I shared it in my Bible study. We have these it's called little people. It's like mini. They have princesses and all kinds of things.
Okay.
And Elliot has one pack where he has kids with disabilities and ailments. And the idea is like include everybody.
Sure. Disability awareness, inclusiveness. I gotcha.
So whenever I play toys with Elliot and Ronnie Bell, I'm always this kid in a wheelchair named Billy.
Man, that's pretty foretelling.
And when I got wheelchaired into the hospital, I'm pretty sure Elliot looked at the window and said, "Daddy's Billy."
Oh no. That's pretty adorable, but also very sad.
So I get wheelchaired in. They take me, they do x-rays. I go back, sit in the ER for like 10 minutes. They pull me back there. And we're supposed to go to Charleston. So I told Kaylee, just go ahead and this is going to take forever. Just go home and pack. The PA comes in, says, "What happened?" I tell him. Nurse comes in, says, "I'm not even supposed to be working right now. I'm not a day shift nurse."
That's pretty classic Army right there.
He storms out. He wraps his hand around my knee, in which I scream, "Ow, that's where it hurts." He wrapped it in an ace bandage and said, "We're going to get you in a prescription for naproxen, and you need to see your PA on Monday."
Thanks for the help.
And I said, "That's it?" And he said, "Yes." So I had to call Kaylee to come back. And I was immobilized until, what's today, Wednesday? Yesterday, I laid in bed and woke up and I said, "I'm not doing crutches anymore," because I went to work on Monday in crutches and I was tired of the comments. So I ditched the crutches yesterday. I'm really just kind of dragging my right leg. I have at least 10 people a day just look at me. And you understand, like, being a captain, like, we wear our rank. The amount of, like, privates and specialists who have just, like, looked at me and said, "Are you okay?" And it's not even, like, from a point of concern. It's more of, like, I'm a hindrance to society.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like I'm getting looked at like I'm in, like, 1936 Germany. And,
Do
like,
you have, like,
I'm not.
they give you, like, a over, like, your pant leg brace or, like, anything, or you just look like you're hobbling? Because that's what people are like ask if you're okay.
I've been provided an ace bandage and a set of crutches. So when I went in on Monday, I went to the physical therapist, like, sick call on Monday. Physical therapist, he fills me up and he's put me through all those tests. I'm just agonizing. And he says, "Do you want the good news or bad news?" I said, "Just hit me with what you got." And he goes, "This is what we call the terrible trifecta."
So you're in that terrible triangle.
He said, I don't have MRI eyes, but I can tell you you've either torn or sprained a combination of your ACL, MCL, meniscus, but we don't know, like, the severity.
Oh, no.
So he's like, "What do you want from this?" I said, "I want you to put in an MRI." And I sat there until he did it. He told me not to get my MRI until, like, after Christmas. I scheduled it for next Monday. So we'll go from there. I did do physical therapy today, and we were able. It sucks.
I'm sure
we were able to very painful. We were able to straighten my leg out after some agonizing stretches. And what it feels like now, Dan. So I have, like, a really sharp pain in the left side of my knee that will, like, wake me up.
Yeah.
But my top of my calf below my knee. Imagine living your whole day like you have an intense Charlie horse in your calf that just won't go away.
That sounds very unpleasant, Braxton.
And he essentially is saying that's my calf, like, working overtime to support my lack of knee.
Sure.
He also made the statement based on feeling my knee. He's like, I'm not sure you have an ACL anymore. That also was said.
How do you respond to like? I could just did your jaw just like hit the floor? Like I would have been speechless.
I said good. I've been going to these battalion meetings and battalion commanders asking me, he's like, so how are you feeling? I was like, I'll be running a marathon by next Friday. And he just like kind of laughs. He's like, no, but really, you look pretty beat up. And I was like, I mean, I don't know, dude.
What's funny is I imagine these superiors. There's definitely like the human concern, human factor, but you can't help but think like in the back of their minds, like the Army's invested a lot of money in you, and they're just looking at like their investment is rapidly depreciating.
I mean, and you know what I would say? They've gotten a pretty good ROE in me in like the 6-7 years I've been in.
Oh yeah,
but yes, they think, hey, we go to the field in like 3 weeks.
Braxton,
you need to figure this out, dude.
Right.
No, but we'll find out Monday, and I'll sit down with the doc, and we'll have a decision point. So yeah, the silver lining in all this, there's a lot of things I can do, laying down, and maybe me or producer Kaylee can finally figure out how to make reels and all the extra time we'll have bedside. And I think and maybe this is a segue, a forcing function to figure out how to do reels, which will then catapult us. And then maybe we're not wearing the uniform. Who knows?
That's a good way. It's glass half full, Braxton, for sure. So we do have some chatter in the chat. I'm going to get to that, but first, we got to do a quick fair or foul. And I apologize if this is too soon, but it's a long-standing, I would say, like Army tradition. Turkey bowls, fair or foul?
So fair, fair, but I think they're fair. I don't. Whatever we play, Gator ball, that's foul. Just play football.
Sure.
And if you don't want to play football, find another piece of grass and say you guys can play soccer or volleyball or whatever tickles your fancy. Another thing, like you hit on it, that field we were playing on, like it was terrible. And maybe there is something to be said for maybe a little prior planning, terrain walk. Maybe we go and reserve the turf field or the actual football, softball outfields that we have available to us. But no, I mean, injuries happen. I could have gotten hurt, or someone else could have gotten hurt doing anything in the Army. So I don't blame the person I went up in the air with. I don't even know who it was. I don't blame the planning of it. I really just blame my lack of athleticism. And it's really a lesson learned of like maybe I should have been doing more exercises to strengthen that knee. And it just highlights my lack of preparation for that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's fair. It's fun. People look forward to the Turkey Bowl. I mean, especially like when it's, enlisted versus officers, like it gets friendly, chippy. But I think anecdotally, like you said, injuries happen all the time in the Army, like during like operations or like any training. But it does seem just like anecdotally that the Turkey Bowl produces a disordinate amount of injuries, and I hate to laugh about them, but it is just like the joke I made was the Turkey Bowl has caused more casualties than all of our enemies combined right now.
Well, and it takes me back to the Christmas basketball tournament we had 2 years ago, and it was officers versus NCOs. And James Scroggins, I wish he listened to the show. He'd be great input. He took an elbow and his tooth went flying.
I do.
He lost a tooth like a day before Christmas,
and he was not getting any dental work done in Poland. That's for sure.
I mean, I still have a leg. Like honestly, the tooth might have made me more mad. No,
if I remember correctly, his wife wasn't too happy about that. and just
No,
lose it.
he spent a lot of time in the mirror after that. But what are you gonna do?
It's. I mean, we compete to win, and I think we got to have these competitions to keep that competitive fire going.
yeah, and I'm mad at myself. I'm not mad at the fact that they did it, or they were. I was annoyed that guy like hit sticked me like he was freaking prime Marshawn Lynch. Like I don't know what that was about. I was just trying to get a ball out of bounds. Like a flag should have been thrown. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah. All right. So in the chat, we have Miss Patsy Gudgel. Good evening. She's saying, "This is hurting your grandmother to hear this. It hurts me too." Then we have Mr. Chris Lewis, the Mad Hatter. PCC's PCIs not completed.
There's not a train walk.
There's no train walk. Gavin is just laughing. And then we have the Mad Hatter. He is saying 100% fair on our fair or foul. I imagine he is quite the veteran of the Turkey Bowl. And then Kaylee, producer Kaylee, being on the scene, is saying that she saw two other guys there with knee injuries and one with an ankle injury, all from Org Day Sports.
Yeah, I wasn't the only one. I wasn't the first or the last one.
Nope.
And you could tell it really annoyed the hospital staff, which is weird to me because it seems like that's job security. But they didn't like it. I don't know what matters to them, how I got my injury that brought me to the emergency department. Now, I'll tell you about Dad. Mad Hatter went through a phase. So he always did he played a lot of softball growing up. And like that was normal to me.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like Kentucky's big into softball, like the state. He went through a phase when he was a drill sergeant, where he was on a unit flag football team. And if you want to talk about different cultures, the flag football was different. And I'm pretty sure he was all-time quarterback, and he took that very seriously, and I think he did pretty well at it.
We'll have to save the Mad Hatter's athletic pursuits in the Army. Well, it sounds like you might not go on the field, so our special guest, but we'll have him back on at least as a third, even if it's just not me and him riffing while you're in the field.
Mad Hatter may have gotten bumped from some guest spots. Because
this actually, Mad Hatter's not too happy about this development with co-host Lou. No, I definitely would like to talk to him about that. That sounds good. I mean, yeah, what a week. That's not the Thanksgiving that you want. It sounds like it made you had some good plans up in Charleston. Still made it up there. But
I made it in time for tip-off of the basketball game.
Yep.
And had a slight fall trying to enter my parents' home, and they got all weirded out about that. And they thought the stairs to the seats at the gym were going to be a bridge too far. But I did make it in time for tip-off.
So I think this isn't the best segue, but getting into the latest in sports that we want to discuss, Braxton. I think we got to lead off with college football, and first is the Lane train departing Oxford, Mississippi. That was all the news going into last weekend, coming out this week. What do you got on Lane Kiffin?
Specifically on Lane, did you watch the documentary they did for him?
I did, yeah. No, and he came across like really well in that. And then all that goodwill, he just did the same thing.
When Kaylee and I went up to New York over the summer, we listened to Lane because he was on Theo Vaughn's podcast. And me and Kaylee became big Lane guys based on that conversation. And the documentary comes out. I think the most telling thing in that documentary is about how his daughter convinced him not to go to Auburn, and how he just said he's so grounded in Oxford. And he really attributed all of his life-changing stuff to Oxford, the town. Not just the college, but just the town and the people. I don't know why in this current era of college football, coaches need to leave as much as they do, because it's been proven now that you can be almost anywhere and have success.
Sure.
Indiana, Vanderbilt. The team that he left, mind you, was ranked 6th at the time of departure. So he proved that he could safely get to the top 10 and make it to the playoffs at Ole Miss. But if you want to leave and you want to leave for an LSU in Alabama, a Southern Cal or some historical college that means a lot to you, like that's fine. He just did it in every wrong way possible.
Again,
I think the most,
and this is now the third time.
and the most damning fact for him now in 2025 is a lot of stuff came out on social media, the DMs and all that. Don't know if it's all true, but it tracks. There's smoke there. I'd say about 50% were probably true and 50% were probably, made up.
I mean, it's consistent with the Joey Freshwater persona.
It is. And I know the stories about when he was at Alabama. Kaylee was able to give firsthand accounts because at Alabama, I don't know. It's not illegal. I don't want to get sued.
Oh,
there were stories.
That. Yeah, tread carefully.
There were accounts of potentially seeing
alleged accounts, sure.
Alleged accounts of an assistant football coach on Alabama's staff who would go about 2 doors down from the place that me and Kaylee would stay at a high school friend's apartment in Tuscaloosa, and he was often found there after game days. I'm not going to say who the coach was.
Yep.
But so it all tracks. I thought what hurt him the most is when he did his introductory press conference with LSU, and he talked about how, Keith AD deflected a lot on the AD. Like, my players wanted me to play or coach. And all the players tweeted and said, that is not true. He did not say that.
I mean, obviously to be a coach like that, you have some level of ego, narcissism, but he's kind of just pathological in some regards, but that's probably what makes him a great coach.
Yeah, and I don't want to jump to it too early, but the biggest takeaway for me is I don't understand how the impact to his departure is not equivalent to the impact of Travis Hunter at Florida State, their undefeated season. Understanding Florida State scenario was a top 4 situation.
Yep.
And this is clearly a bigger pool. But even if it meant them dropping down, that was kind of upsetting for me because we lived that whole Florida State thing together. And
yeah,
I know it's your starting quarterback, and that matters. But Lane Kiffin's not like a CEO type of head coach. He calls the plays. Yeah. He's a hands-on offensive coordinator head coach.
Yes.
So it's not like his actual, he puts the players in those positions. I'm not saying Charlie Weiss and all them aren't good, but I was surprised that didn't hinder them at all.
Yeah, let's put a pin in that for just a minute because we are going to get into the rankings. But you kind of touched on this, and it's he's in his statement too. He's like, I'm going to LSU because that's a place where I can win national titles year in and year out. But he's on the cusp of winning one right now. If anything, what we've seen this year is that it's a wide open field.
And LSU said they're going to honor his endorsements from Ole Miss. Did you see that?
No, I did not see that. What do you mean by that?
So, the endorsements he had in his contract to Ole Miss for making the semifinals, winning a national championship, LSU is going to pay that out for him since he can't be on the sideline.
Yep. And LSU to get their guy, I'm sure they would have, backed up the money truck, said whatever, done whatever. That's LSU. That's Louisiana. The governor was directly responsible in getting rid of Brian Kelly and in this coaching search. I just can't imagine the money's that different, and it's just weird to me. And it seems I don't think Lane Kiffin has any special attachment to LSU. And like you said, he was in Oxford. He had been a part of the Oxford community. It changed, his life for the better. And what he's done at Ole Miss these past 5-6 years has been the best run in school history. He is at legendary status there.
He wins
on par with Archie Manning.
He wins one more game. And he breaks all their regular season records, and he is now like the field's named after him. And I was telling Kaylee, she brought the money point, and I was like, essentially we're just poor, but what I don't understand, like in my opinion, and I can't put my brain around the amount of money these head coaches make, but I was like trying to scale down his millions to my like 100,000. Like in my brain, it's like, hey, I feel like going from a $7.5 million a year contract to a $9 million a year contract, for me, that'd be like the difference between like me taking a new job and getting like $100 more a check. Like,
Sure.
I just feel like it'd be very indiscretionary, like just an extra fill up at the gas station. Like, wouldn't really see the money. Yeah, and obviously they have more expenses because they have more assets and money. But like, I just don't. I feel like once you get to that point, the money is irrelevant.
Yes.
He has grown kids. Like, all of his kids are in high school.
His daughter's boyfriend is at LSU. I don't know how much that had a role in it. Maybe she's transferring.
You can say that, and probably will, but he was heavily in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted a Florida job until he met with the AD. How the AD was too controlling. And then today it came out that Florida State was quietly pursuing him. And once they realized they couldn't get him, that's why they decided to retain Norvell.
Yeah. And I think, it speaks to, I know a lot of the talking heads, it speaks just a larger problem of the calendar in college football. And I know this was largely pushed by the coaches for like earlier signing period and for like the transfer portal because it gives them more certainty. But I think the real, victim in this, and it's not the right way to phrase it, but the people who benefit the least are the players, and especially like the high school recruits. And I think the fix is that they just need to get together. They need to align the football season with the academic calendar, and all this like this transfer portal, like coaching moves, signing day, that's all got to be after the football season ends in mid-January.
Yeah, and I agree. I think with TV contracts and that stuff, that the school part is very undervalued. But what I would say, like making it to where national signing days before conference championships, and obviously the teams who are typically firing like the coaching carousel happens pre-conference championships. Or it starts at that time, pre-national signing day. It puts people in a bad spot. But for like Lane's case, there's several coaches, John Summerall from Tulane going to Florida, and not Dan Lanning, Will Stein, Kentucky's new head coach, who I'll talk about later, as Oregon's OC. I think that shows a healthy transition because both coaches are still going to continue to coach their teams. They're going to double dip. And I think what that highlights is those are like natural progressions in the coaching progression, going from coordinator to head coach, group of 5 to power 4. And there's a level of maturity there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't disagree with Ole Miss's stance in like, dude, you're going to a SEC West rival.
Yeah.
Like, it's different for the head coach of Tulane to be double dipping at Florida. It's different for the Oregon offensive coordinator to be double dipping Kentucky. Like, we're talking Ole Miss to LSU. That's just different. It's just a weird move. What makes me mad about Lane Kiffin, I told Kaylee this. Lane Kiffin could have completely rewrote all the stuff at Tennessee, all the stuff at USC, all the stuff at Oakland, which I don't really think Oakland was his fault, if I'm being honest.
No, that was all Al Davis.
But he could have rewrote all of that if he would have did one of two things. Stayed at Ole Miss until he got done coaching, or what everyone thinks he should have done, stay at Ole Miss until Kalen DeBoer is no longer Alabama's head coach. Take the Alabama job. I understand Alabama also SEC West, but that one's different for him.
Sure.
Alabama's Alabama. I even think that would have been perceived differently. especially considering his coaching tree and his how much he values Nick Saban. I acknowledge he was at LSU too, but it's just different in my opinion.
Yeah, he worked for Saban at Alabama, absolutely.
Like I just think the only school he should have entertained leaving for should have been Alabama. Like the LSU move is just so weird to me.
Yeah, it's weird, and I mean the schools and just how the calendar's set up incentivizes the firing and then this like just relentless pursuit of other coaches because you got to get them in, for that signing day to get recruits, to have that certainty, to have like the early enrollees in the spring to get ready for the fall. Um, it's it's all incentivized and it makes sense as to why it's happening. But I mean, I think they gotta do a freeze on everything until the season's over and everyone's on the same playing field. And it's more certainty for players because I think it's very unfair to some of these high school recruits that they've had these relationships with these coaches for X amount of years. People are fired, then there's an early signing day, and they don't know they're going to this place early enrollee for potentially a coach and a coordinator and position coach that they never even met.
Yeah.
Um, and it's totally built for the coaches, for the convenience of the coaches, and I think the coaches can still get, their what they're worth as far as like money compensation wise, and then as well as like the certainty of the desire on a level playing field. That's where I stand on it. And like the
Yeah.
transfer portal too is like a complete mess. And that's not aligned with the academic calendar because I want kids like enrolled in school. So I think it's a pretty easy fix. It's just no one wants to do it because they don't want to give up any competitive advantage.
Well, I think the easy fit, not the easy fix, the fix, and I don't have the ticker, so I don't want to transition on you too hard. But the fix is, unlike NFL, there's no incentive to losing games at the college level. But if you know that this just isn't going to work, you go ahead and make a move. I think the best time to make a move is after week 4 because now you still have redshirt ability for your guys. Penn State, fire your coach in October so that you have time. You have 2 months to find a replacement or at least work the backdoor channels to have one in principle. But then you don't do that. Now you have 2 signed recruits and you're like the 180th recruiting class at Penn State and you don't have a head coach. Shout out Crumble Cookie.
Crumble Cookie. Yeah. There's no like right answer to it, but I think that there are options that are more fair across college football and are in the best interest of the students. That's where I'm coming from. I think it's way too like controlled by the coaches, and that doesn't sit right to me.
No, that's everything in football.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll move into college football playoff, but I think more importantly, driving that final ranking that'll come out next Sunday is the conference championship games, and not controversy in who's in the games, but controversy surrounding whether it's even worth it for a team to play in their conference championship. What do you got, Braxton?
So is it worth it? You've seen people come out and say, like, hey, like it's actually good for us to avoid it because especially if you're a 2-loss team, there is no advantage to playing in it. Like Alabama. So Alabama loses to Georgia. You presumably just kick them out of the playoff if you're going on a normal scale. I think you want to play in your conference championship because that's your conference championship. That's hardware. And you can't really it's kind of all in or all nothing because like part of me wants to say like, hey, conference championships like will not be weighed at the same value. But the same, why would that justify them still having a playoff spot if you already know like the number 2 or 3 team is going to beat them by 30?
You cut out for a bit, but I think I know where you were going. That it's what in past years committees have said. At least, well, last year's committee, it was you won't be punished for playing in your conference championship game. But this year, with how kind of chaotic, uh, there hasn't been two clear favorites in a lot of conferences, and there's a lot of parity amongst teams with like the one loss, two loss, three losses. Um, that we'll see what happens, but I mean, I know like Paul Feinbaum is probably going to I don't know what he's going to do if Alabama loses and then is bumped for Notre Dame or Miami, who neither of which is playing in a conference championship game. I think his head might explode.
I mean, I think Notre Dame is safe because they're not playing in one. Like Notre Dame's comfortably at number 10.
Well, I would say every Irish fan is a big Texas Tech Red Raiders fan on Saturday. That is Texas Tech beats BYU and the Mormons of Provo. I think Notre Dame is safe.
Yeah, I mean, but this, like, Alabama could lose. Oregon's safe because they're not playing. Georgia could lose and still make it. Like, Indiana's safe. A&M is now safe because they're not playing. Ole Miss is safe because they're not playing.
Oregon.
Oklahoma's safe. Alabama's not. Oregon is. So, really, I think, I guess the Alabama, the SEC, and the Big 12 are the two to look out for. Did you see the thing about Vandy, Clark Lee saying he's having his guys ready to play on Saturday just in case? Did you see that?
I did not see that. I don't even know what that. I love kind of that mentality from Clark Lee. I love the Doors.
He said
I don't get what that means. Like ready to play in the playoff or ready to like
he has his
go to
guys
Atlanta?
they have their bags packed in case like an impromptu game. They schedule a game for Saturday to like show the committee how they deserve to be in the playoff.
It's like what, like a Harlem Globetrotters like exhibition game to what? I love it. I love that mentality. Like we'll play anyone,
What if
anytime, anywhere.
Okay, so like
Like are they gonna show up to Mercedes Benz and be like, hey, we got next? Like
this is the thing about a 12-team playoff, and I think this is why I'm really good with the number 12 because last year it was hard to find 12 teams. This year there's probably like 14 to 16 teams who could make a case. So like this is a good number. But it would be interesting if you're 13 through 16 seed or ranked, you can like call out teams in front of you who
like a
aren't in their
challenge.
conference championship. Like, hey, I'm number 14, you're number 11, and you're in, but you're not playing a conference championship. I challenge you conference championship week to a one-on-one, winner gets in. Like,
I see
loser
what you're
goes
saying.
home.
It's actually pretty funny. And now I'm thinking like Clark Lee's ties to South Bend and the Irish, like him and Marcus
He's like,
Freeman,
Notre Dame,
they should play a game in like Indianapolis, meet halfway.
Yeah, and whoever wins the playoff committee, they know.
Yeah.
So there's no confusion.
That's actually, I kind of like that. Yeah, keep an open week for challenges outside
You know
of
how
the
electric that
championship.
would be?
Oh, there'd be some pretty cool videos of like throwing down the gauntlet.
But that's how you get to like a first four type situation, like in March Madness. So
yeah, I kind of like that. That's a good idea, Braxton. You should probably be on a committee somewhere.
They would hate me on a committee.
So what do you think? I have the schedule pulled up. We can do a quick we'll do a quick pick of the major conference championships. So Big Ten, IU, Ohio State, Indianapolis. What do you think?
Indiana.
Really? How many points?
I don't know the spread on any of these.
Okay.
I would take Indiana. I would take them at like 3.5. So field goal to touchdown win.
All right. Next is Big 12. This is going to be a game that I'm
Easy. This is
very.
the easiest pick. Easiest pick of the weekend. Braxton's lock.
You even know what the spread is, do you?
I don't care what the spread is because I can tell you money line just who to take. I don't know if the odds are good or not.
Go ahead.
I'm fading my Mormons all in on Texas Tech. They've had too many distractions. They're too distracted.
Oh, BYU. So
BYU's far too distracted. They thought their coach was leaving. Crumble cookies are everywhere. Like, it's just too much going on in Provo. And there's going to be some buyer's remorse when Texas Tech wins that game.
all right, I like that pick. I need the Red Raiders to win. ACC. This one is like a pillow fight, but also is like I think pretty big stakes. Like we got Duke against Virginia. If Duke wins, there's a good chance there's no ACC representation in the playoff.
Am I wrong? I thought ACC got an at-large for a conference championship.
It has to be if you're in the ranking, and Duke is currently not in the ranking.
So if Duke wins, they
Duke
don't
only
get
has
in.
5 wins.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I see now. I was wrong. I thought they're gonna be like the first 5 loss team. Duke wins that because it just further highlights like how just hilarious the ACC is.
And then
Manny Diaz has a lot to play for in that game.
Oh yeah. I'm curious. He's got to be on the short list of some teams that are still looking for a coach.
Penn State.
And then obviously SEC, Georgia, Alabama, the rematch.
What's the spread? Do you have it?
Let me pull it up. Let's see. It is. 1 second.
I think as Kaylee stands in front of me. Mine goes Georgia will win, but I don't know if they're going to give a lot of points. How much points are you good to Bama?
It is. It opened at 1.5 point favorites. Georgia minus 1.5.
Yeah, it's a pick 'em. Yeah, I'd take Georgia.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's gonna be Georgia too.
I hope it's Alabama though, because I love the Tide and I love supporting my wife and her alma mater.
See, this is selfish, but it helps me if both Georgia and Texas Tech kind of just hold strong as the higher ranked teams. They both win. I think Notre Dame is a lock to make the playoff, and no team wants to see the Irish in the playoffs.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see what happens. There's I think, which fan base do you think is like gonna just riot on next Sunday after the release of the final rankings?
Texas. Texas, Vandy. I would say Miami, but Miami doesn't really have fans. I can see Texas. I think Texas not making it, in Arch's year and when they're in-state rivals safely in, I think that might
Two of their in-state rivals and Oklahoma.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and I think that whole situation will just drive Sark up a wall. And I don't think Texas is. I mean, Kentucky took them to overtime. Should have won. I'm not sold on Texas.
Yeah, Kentucky. They only lost by 3. And they finished strong with that win against A&M. But let's see, they have what, 2? How many losses Texas has?
3. I think.
Yeah, they have 3. They had 3 losses. Yeah, Ohio State, Georgia, Florida's not a good loss.
Now, how you have an absolute crash out is if Alabama loses to Georgia by like 7 and it's like a close game in the fourth quarter. Georgia just scores one more touchdown than
Mm-hmm.
them. Alabama loses by 7 to Georgia, and then they let Alabama in with 3 losses, and not Texas with 3 losses, which like I would still agree with. Texas will really lose it.
I think that should be the case for Alabama making it and playing in their conference championship and
Yeah,
splitting with Georgia.
And that's my thing. I think there's like a 14-point window where like I don't know if they can put this in writing. Like if you play your conference championship within 14 points and you're a top 12 team, like that should be no impact. Because a 2-touchdown game can always swing, and I'm sure there's levels to a 14-point loss, but that's kind of like the window for me.
And we're getting some chatter in the chat, some good input from Gavin. He's saying that the 12-team playoff rules are that the top 4 highest ranked conference champions get in. Everyone just assumed it would be a Power 4. So yeah, that makes sense because right now like Tulane and JMU are higher ranked than what a Duke champion would be.
Yeah, that makes sense. You would just assume the ACC, considering they have Miami, Florida State, North Carolina.
It kind of stinks because, like, I mean, it's probably not the best brand of football, but it was kind of fun how much parity there was amongst the ACC and how, like, who was playing in the championship game, like, changed, like, every single week because no one wanted to win it. But it's hurt them, obviously, that because there is that basement fight amongst the teams, they're not going to make the playoff.
And Virginia Duke should be like the ACC basketball championship game, not the football. Yeah,
That's pretty funny. Yeah, that how happy are you that Dabo has been knocked off his ivory tower in the ACC?
that poor guy. His agony is starting to make me feel sorry for him almost.
Wow.
He's just a sad puppy.
I'm shocked that you were having sympathy for Dabo.
I don't have sympathy for him, but like he you can't kick a dog while he's down, you know. Like he knows he's down. Even though his press conference,
it is pretty sad. His tail is squarely between his legs, and he's down bad.
And I can remember where I was when Clemson died forever. I was in Vilseck, Germany at the PX grabbing myself a sandwich. And that's where I listened to the Tyler from Spartanburg call in to his radio show. And that was the death of Clemson football under Dabo Swinney. And I remember that clearly. I know exactly where I was. I can tell you the weather. I can tell you it was the weekend of Halloween 2 years ago. And so yeah, they've been on life support for a while, but they're done for a bit.
I think so. So anything else on the CFP before we move in to at least like the last ticker topic, which is still like a football themed thing, but is just largely your fandom. You mentioned this to me, Braxton. You want to discuss it, that you're in a midst of an identity crisis. Nothing new. I feel like this is something we discuss weekly, but tell me about it.
Yeah. This isn't inclusive to just football.
Got kind of deep here.
It really starts with basketball. So, Kentucky football, we get destroyed by Louisville.
That was actually, we need to talk about that. I didn't want to text because you were.
I'll start.
Go ahead.
I'll start there. So, Kentucky's 5-5, 3-game win streak. We got to beat Vanderbilt and/or Louisville to go 6-6 or 7-5, and that's a crazy successful season. We get rolled by both Vandy and really destroyed by Louisville's like backups to the backups. I was down for that, but I think Kentucky, outside of the Lane Kiffin LSU hire, I think Kentucky has the best hire so far
It's a good hire.
Like even Barstool, like Brandon Walker, who's a noted Kentucky hater, said that we got the second best coach in the portal behind Lane Kiffin. So things are looking up. And, he had his introductory press conference. I listened to some of it. I got to finish it. But he said something along the lines of, like, I'm here to win tomorrow. Like, I'm not worried about 5 years from now. Like, we're in a place and time in football where we can win now, a la Signetti goes and loses one or two games his first year at Indiana. So
yeah, one with a playoff.
So it's possible, right? So like football, Kentucky football, it's hard to break me. Like they've broken my heart 1,000 times, but like I'm pretty persistent in like that's just part of being in the game.
You're not going to break up like with the Titans. You can't quit Kentucky football.
Right. Like my Kentucky football fandom is pretty rock solid. Where I'm pretty fickle in my recent years is Kentucky basketball. So the last 3 ranked opponents we've played have been on Tuesday nights. Now, Tuesday nights are when I do my Bible study. Mm-hmm. So I concurrently watched the Louisville game, the Michigan State game while doing my Bible study. So I was like kind of half watching, and we lost both of those. The Louisville game was embarrassing. Yesterday was a 9:30 tip, and we got done with Bible study and watched the whole thing. Didn't end until midnight, and we lost by 3. At one point, we had the longest scoring drought in Division I basketball since like 2008. And we were like 10 minutes without a field goal, and we still had a lead. But anyway, we lose, and Kentucky basketball is just not fun to me anymore for some reason. Like it just takes years off my life. It's taking years off my life. And I texted Dad about it this morning. I couldn't text him last night. I was too mad. I've talked on the show, dude, I can't let wins and losses on a Tuesday night impact my week. But they do.
In November or December.
And so the Orlando Magic just lost a close game to the Spurs by 2 points. I watched the Magic play in bed on Monday night, and they beat the Bulls. And you know how much fun I had watching the Magic? And it was just a blast.
Okay.
And I wasn't mad. I wasn't stressed. Like watching the Predators play, like no, not mad, not stressed. Even watching the Titans or watching the Bucks, like I'm not stressed. I'm just enjoying the product. And with Kentucky basketball, it's gotten to the point where it's like my first love, who like I don't want to be with them, but they can't be with anyone else type situation.
Sure.
Does that make
sense? Not the healthiest relationship.
It's super toxic. Like I'm still gonna stalk them and watch them play every second of a basketball game. Like I'm just so pissed the whole time. I've decided
you should talk to someone about that.
No one gets it. Like my dad.
Well, I'm like a professional.
It's just like it makes me mad to a level where I can't comprehend. And where I'm really nervous is like I'm moving back up there.
Yeah.
And like down here, no one talks crap to me. Like people talk crap to me here about Kentucky football, which like doesn't faze me. But when I get back up there, I'm next to Louisville, and when I was a kid, I can remember when Kentucky would lose when I was a kid, like in John Wall's first year and Brandon Knight and all those teams. Like, if they lost a game, I wouldn't watch ESPN until after they won their next game because I couldn't emotionally handle the idea of turning on SportsCenter and watching the highlights of our loss. And like even now, I won't listen to KSR after we lose a basketball game because I don't want to have to relive it, and it's just not healthy. And that's why I couldn't be a strictly Kentucky basketball reporter. I can do football, I can do baseball. Like basketball, like I just don't have the energy or the willpower to talk about it. It deflates me like a balloon.
So what's because you were so high on the hiring of Mark Pope, what has you so down?
Well, you can't win a basketball game. It matters. We're 5-3.
But we're in December.
Yeah, and we've played Louisville, Michigan State, and North Carolina, 3 top 25 teams, and we've looked terrible in all 3. Now, you could say, a reasonable person would say, Dan, yeah, you've lost those 3 games, but you didn't have your starting point guard, your starting power forward, or your center who's a projected lottery pick in the NBA. That would be what a common sense person would say is like, hey, don't judge the team until February when all those guys are playing again. But I don't care about that. The last time I checked,
there's 2 columns for you, wins and losses.
last time I checked, Kentucky's on the front of the jersey. And I'm not worried about the last name on the back. So I can't get past that. Like, I've talked myself in. Like, in Kentucky football, I remember when we played South Carolina a couple years back and we started Kyra Sharon, our backup, who God knows where that kid's at these days. And I was convinced we were going to win that game with our Kentucky's backup quarterback. We got killed. But I was convinced we were going to win.
What I do appreciate about you, though, is that you get down bad after each loss, but you do build yourself up before it's like, oh, there's no way they lose this game. And I think that's there's just a vicious cycle that makes it even worse when they lose. Is that like incorrect?
No, and I don't want to look into the future. Like, I wish I was already stationed at Fort Knox and close to you, because Woody Lou Sports and you would be at Bridgestone Arena Friday night to watch Kentucky Gonzaga, and you'd be able to be next to me through that emotional just. I implore you to go to Broadway Friday for this game. Just watch the game on Broadway. Like, Kentucky fans always go to the Tin Roof for the Tootsies. And I think if you make time Friday night and go to Broadway and go to those bars and belly up to one of those bars, you're going to see a million of me. And, well, I wouldn't say a million of me because I think I might be more extreme, but like, it's just, it impacts my livelihood. And I don't benefit from it outside of just knowing they won. But yeah, we'll probably beat Gonzaga on Friday.
It's interesting you say that, because like that's like when you these, like, going back to like kind of like Lane Kiffin and these like great coaches that are just like, they're egomaniacs, probably some narcissism, but they always say, like, they're so competitive, and the pain of losing is so intense that it's more intense than any joy they get from winning. And I think that describes you when it comes to Kentucky basketball. Like, even when they win, like, it's just, it doesn't overcome or compensate or outweigh the just what you feel when they lose. And that's not healthy, Braxton. That's not good.
In March Madness, I got really mad last year. So when we played Illinois in the second round to go to the Sweet 16, I watched it and we won. And in my head, I was like, all right, we play the winner of Tennessee and whoever, like, on to next weekend. And Mark Stoops said in the press conference of that game, we need to, they celebrated, dude. Like, celebrated. He's like, it's really important for us to soak this in. And I can't disagree more. That game, you winning that game just allows you the opportunity to play next week, which will allow you the opportunity to play the next week, which will allow you the opportunity to play the next week to win a championship. Like, no one cares that you beat Illinois in the round of 32, Dan. But then you want to lose to Tennessee and say, well, we tried hard. I mean, it's stupid, dude. I care more than they do, and I don't get paid. No. Nearly as much as Mark Cook does.
No.
So it is what it is. It's unhealthy. It's going to give me an early death.
So what? I guess if we could sum up, like, what is, like, you said this as an identity crisis. What is your identity crisis?
My identity crisis is I get immense enjoyment out of being a casual Magic fan. Like, I was in bed, the Magic were on, I watched the Magic play, they won. I was like, oh, it's awesome, the Magic won. I get enjoyment out of, oh, the Predators are on, I'm watching the Predators. Hey, they won, they lost. That was a really fun game to watch. I get enjoyment out of like the idea. I think this is kind of weird. Like Kentucky football, like we're a subpar middle of the road team, but I get excited about the idea of building those blocks to getting better. I wish I could just be casual with Kentucky basketball and just enjoy the ride, but there's no enjoyment in that ride I'm on.
Okay.
Like I just don't. I just get the only and like I want to be a casual basketball fan, but I can't. And by not allowing myself to be casual about it, it's raising my blood pressure to an unhealthy level. And like people will text me after we lose or something, and like I won't text them back, like until I'm over it. And the only way I'll text them back is if they text me something different later on.
I feel like we should get like a sports psychologist as a guest on this show, and we can you can talk to them live about why you have just this very toxic relationship with UK basketball.
Well, if I had to talk to a therapist, I have like memories. Like I can remember
Trauma.
I remember when Papa Ronnie had season tickets and they were playing against Louisville at Freedom Hall, and he said they were down like 12, and he said, "I'll give you my tickets to the next game and $50 if they win," because he'd given up on them. And then I believed. Patrick Sparks hit the three, and they won, and I got to go to the game. And I can remember in third grade, I don't know why my dad was off work at like 3 in the afternoon, but I got home from school.
You didn't have softball?
I got home from school at like 3:30, and they were playing like Marquette, and I was walking up to the door, and I heard my dad screaming bloody murder, and I thought something was wrong in my home, but he was yelling at Tubby Smith to take another sip of his water because he was just sipping water and not coaching. Like I can remember all these things. Like it's just so ingrained.
You've experienced trauma, Braxton.
I think I have. And the toxicity in it is I can remember us leaving a Kentucky Louisville game early at Commonwealth Stadium. And then my dad, as soon as we get in the car to drive home because we're done watching it, just turning it on the radio and listening to the play-by-play and holding on to every line of the play-by-play. I can also remember going to watch Kentucky beat Georgia the last time they beat Georgia in 2008 or 7 and being there for the win and us beating Georgia and how that felt. And I can remember going to Neyland Stadium and watching us get absolutely rolled when they had freaking Coach Dooley, that Doofus Dooley. I remember going under the first basketball game I ever went to at Rep Arena. They played William and Mary. I'll never forget that. First basketball game me and Kaylee went and watched at Rep Arena was Troy. All of it's just deeply embedded in me, and boy,
That must be incredible content. You talking to a professional about this trauma you've experienced. UK has inflicted on you.
I didn't go to Auburn because I was scared of how I would feel when they played Kentucky in a Thursday night football game my freshman year.
What? This is news to me. This has never been divulged. So you were going to the University or Auburn University, and you didn't go.
I was gonna go to UK. My dad paid like the $5,000 dorm deposit. My roommate from my hometown, who was gonna be my roommate, he ended up getting into some wrong things and saying he wasn't going to UK anymore. For whatever reason, I let him influence me to be like, well, you know what? I'm not going to go to Kentucky now for whatever reason. I don't know why. It's stupid. So then I transitioned and I was like, I'm going to Auburn because all my high school friends who I was really close with were going to Auburn. Auburn was close. I went to some fraternity parties in high school with one of the guys' brothers. So I'm going to Auburn. Even went to an Auburn like incoming freshman luncheon, or a dinner, like a fancy dinner. Like I was going to go to Auburn. And then they released the football schedule, and Auburn was playing Kentucky on a Thursday night SEC game. And, like, I couldn't bear the thought of being an Auburn student and being a part of this university that's playing Kentucky in football. Like, it's bad.
That articulated to me that it's your relationship with UK is, like, influencing life decisions.
It has. Like if Kentucky wasn't on Auburn's schedule, I'd probably be an Auburn alumni.
That's
I'm not
wild.
joking. That
That's
was a
wild.
big deal to me. Like that was the only reason I didn't. That was the only con to go into Auburn was they were playing Kentucky in football.
That's passion, and that's the Braxton Ball I know.
I, I remember my freshman year, the Citadel played South Carolina at Williams-Brice Stadium, and the Citadel beat South Carolina. And I can remember my buddies from school who were Carolina fans, like tweeting "Go Dogs," like "Go Bulldogs." Like, couldn't be me. If the Citadel was playing Kentucky and beat Kentucky, I would be beside myself. But like I've already proven I can't go to a school that would potentially even play Kentucky. Like it's bad, man. It's different. It's different. And these I can go on for days about my buddies who were Carolina fans or dated girls who went to Clemson or it would go up to a Clemson game and wear I've never dated a Louisville fan. I've never dated a Tennessee fan. I've never even like talked. I've never even flirted with a Louisville or a Tennessee. Nothing. That's a non-starter.
Well,
Non-starter.
any Trojan women, that does not bother me. I'm all about Southern California, just from my standpoint of Notre Dame's rivals.
There was a girl in 7th grade who I thought was cute, and I found out she was a Louisville fan because my mom told me her dad went to Louisville, and he was a lawyer who went to Louisville, and I never pursued any further. Like I excommunicated this girl.
And you had no confirmation that it was just because her father was a Louisville alum. You made the assumption.
And I think she had a Louisville T-shirt somewhere in the wardrobe. Like it's
somewhere in the wardrobe.
It's bad.
I think this
man.
would be great content. If anyone in the chat, if you know of a sports psychologist that wants to come on and dissect the brain of Braxton Ball Lewis, I think that would be pretty electric.
Yeah, that's honestly the reason I went to the Citadel. I guess I convinced myself that's an FCS school. I just couldn't fathom going to another power, like especially in the SEC. Like just something about like like they play them in basketball, and like and it wasn't about the education to me. Like what annoys me the most, and this is like how deep I hate when people are like, "Oh, I'm an Alabama fan, but Auburn has a better veterinarian program." I don't care, dude.
I don't
go to a different school that has there's more vet schools in America than your arch rival. Like I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, but I can promise you at no point was ever like, well, Louisville has a better whatever pro. Who cares if it's better, dude? What are we talking about?
So those people have no loyalty. And I know you respect no loyalty. You do not have respect for zero loyalty.
And you can't trust those people because they will flake. It's just not true. You can't be with those people. Gosh, it fires me up, man. It's real life though, and that's my problem. I've gone on for a while.
No, that's good. That's good. In the chat, we got some good chatter here. So from Miss Patsy, you love going to the games, and you bought a #1 foam finger, going back to your early relationship with UK. And then producer Kaylee is saying that she thinks I'm your therapist. No, I'm not. I'm definitely not, Kaylee. I'm an instigator and an agitator, and I'm just trying to get some good content out of Braxton. I know what buttons to push, but I do think I would love for a professional to get inside of that brain.
I mean, how many nights did I stay up until 4 in the? And my dad did it too when he lived in Belgium. Like staying up till 4 in the morning, watching just us get our brains beat out by like Missouri.
Yeah, and then you would listen to KSR and get even more mad and completely shut down for like 12. You wouldn't talk to us.
Like a 9:30 tip off at the Champions Classic. I watched that at 3 in the morning and like watched the final play as our alarms were going off for PT. I was going to work with zero sleep, and we lost, and I'm just pissed.
And reliving it by listening to KSR.
Yeah. But, that's what makes sports magical. And I could then like tirade this into this is what makes America great. That makes people feel weird though. But, it's just college. There's no the soccer fans in Europe get kind of close to it, especially like the town like commitment and fandom. Like, it gets close, but it's still it's just not the same, man. It's just not the same. But yeah, I guess bottom line up front, if you're an Alabama or Auburn fan who went to the other school because they had a better program, like I don't trust you. I really don't have much for you, to be honest.
That's a good way to wrap this up. And I think Braxton has proven, he's down bad. We let off with that, but wrapping it up with his
I'm gimped up, dude.
his phantom crisis. He's definitely not out. So I think we're coming up on the hour 15 mark. This is a fun show. Good update. Any final thoughts, Braxton?
No, I just appreciate everyone listening. Please like, subscribe, follow on Instagram. If you have a friend who you think doesn't have much going on at 8:30 Eastern, send the link. Tell them to listen. And if you know any orthopedic surgeons in the Low Country area who want to fix my knee,
there might be a listener who is an orthopedic surgeon in the Low Country.
I will travel to you.
If you're listening, you know who you are. And don't be afraid to contact a certain co-host. I know you can't do that, solicitation of medical services. But actually, Braxton, this is not the best way to end this, but I just thought of this because it goes to our low subscriber count. Thank you all to our award-winning listeners. But do you know who else is on profile right now?
Who?
Are you familiar with Specialist Kearns of the North Carolina National Guard?
I am.
He's on profile for a torn ACL. So it's you and Specialist Kearns. And what I find is hysterical. You know how many followers he has on Instagram?
Way more than we ever will.
45,000.
He got promoted. He was a PFC.
He got promoted. Combat engineer, future sapper, or Specialist Kearns.
Specialist Kearns is the Jags' nightmare, in my opinion. Like, I don't know, like his whole life is a legal review with what he's got going on.
It's interesting. I think he's got he toes the line on endorsement while in his official capacity. But he's probably the best recruiter that the Army has.
If I could just go and enlist in the Kentucky National Guard and do drill once a month, and then Monday through Friday just post, honestly, just nothingness but me in my uniform.
Right.
Like I could be Specialist Lewis with 40. I could figure that out. It's like we're the real idiots. Like, good for Specialist Kearns. Like I hope I hope his ACL recovery goes well. He won't take a PT test for at least 4 years with torn ACL in the National Guard. God knows he'll probably retire without taking another AFT. So good for him.
Good for him. He's a treasure. He definitely is. But you and him,
hey, Matt,
you're in the same company.
I hope the Mad Hatter Googles this kid after.
Yes, Mad Hatter, please Google Specialist Kearns, North Carolina National Guard, and we will get your take on the future. KERNS.
Oh yeah.
But you're in the same. You're on the profile train with Specialist Kearns. You and him, ACLs.
I told him they're gonna have to kill me to get me to stop. I'll low crawl around this place so they can kick me out.
We'll leave on that quote. All right. Thank you, everyone. Like, subscribe, follow, forward. Anything else, Braxton?
All I got.
All right. Good night, everyone.